If while you're waiting and maybe you put in the chat where you're calling in from, that would be great. Adriana, if you had a question, if you want to drop it, do you want him to drop it in the Q&A, Aaliyah, or do you want him in the chat? You tell me.
Chat.
Okay, if you could just drop it in the chat so we could answer your question, that'd be great. We're going to give it just a moment. We have about half the attendees here. For those of you just joining, if you could put in the chat where you're from, that would be great. Oh, yay, Chicago, Texas, Virginia. Awesome. Wow, we got them from all over. Loving it. Awesome. New Orleans, great. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. We're going to give it just one more minute. Buffalo. Thanks, Paula. This is great. Auburn. Awesome. Uh, yes, Paula, you are going to get a recording of this training. That is correct, right, Aaliyah?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we'll follow up with everybody that signed up. Great. You're welcome, Paula. Thank you. Chattanooga. All right. Maryland. Awesome. All right. We'll start at 103. Is that okay, Judy?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Sounds good.
All right, Aaliyah, should we get this rolling? First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone to Enhancing Donor Engagement with Apsona. This is a case study of the Edmonton Community Foundation, and Foundation Partners is the designer of the solution. And I'd just like to thank both of them for all their hard work and agreeing to let us showcase this really cool thing that we're going to talk through today. So Aaliyah, if you can advance the slide, that'd be great. So for those of you that I don't know, my name is Rob O'Brien, and I'm the enterprise sales lead here at Apsona. I've been here almost 2 years, and I came from the managed services space as a consultant, and I also used to be a solo nonprofit admin, which is how I learned about Apsona. Judy, you want to introduce yourself quick?
Yeah, hi, I'm Judy Otto, and I'm a consultant at Foundation Partners. I have been working in Salesforce since 2017 when my community foundation went through a implementation project and adopted Salesforce. A year or two later, we implemented Apsona, and I've been using Apsona ever since. And when I transitioned to a consultant in 2021, I kind of brought Apsona with me. My org hadn't been using it with clients. And so we've been introducing our clients to Apsona ever since then.
Awesome. Leah, can you advance the slide? And as our special guest, I'd like to introduce Charlene Clark. Charlene, can you just introduce yourself a little bit and talk about maybe your experience with Judy and the foundation partners?
Sure. So I'm Charlene Clark. I'm a donor engagement coordinator with the Edmonton Community Foundation. Just a little bit about our organization. We are the 4th largest community foundation in Canada, with assets of over 795 million, primarily through 1,600 plus endowment funds that we manage, as well as some scholarship and emergency response programs. I've been in the nonprofit space for about 8 years. Prior to that, I worked in publishing as an audience development and subscription management professional. So I have lots of CRM experience, and we actually decided to migrate to Salesforce and Apsona in 2022. So I've been working with Judy for more than 2 years, and she's been my guru and has done so many things with us to help improve our processes and our donor experience. And I'm happy to share that with all of you today.
Well, thank you so much for agreeing to do this because we really appreciate it. Go ahead, Aaliyah. All right, so today I just want to kind of give you the high level overview. We're going to talk a little bit about Apsona, and then we're going to dig into the really good stuff about the Edmonton Community Foundation and talk about the case study and overview. Judy's going to talk about email batching for gift receipts, printed batching for gift receipts, printed annual tax receipts, and some of the key benefits that they had achieved. And then at the very end, we'll do some Q&A. If you have questions, please, we are monitoring the chat, not the Q&A, the chat. So please put the questions there, and I will be monitoring along with Aaliyah and try and jump in or bring it to Judy's attention that there's a question coming up. Okay, go ahead, Aaliyah. All right, so I'm just curious if you guys could, in the chat, put a 1 if you are an Apsona user and put a 2 if you have no idea what the heck Apsona is. It would help me understand who's in the audience. Got a lot of Apsona users. Yay, yay, yay. Oh, yay. So excited to see all those ones. 1.5, okay. All right. So I just want to talk a little bit about what the heck Apsona does and why would you even consider it? So the key benefits for your end users are streamlined data management, advanced reporting, and DocGen. The problems that Apsona solves is data handling challenges, and Judy's going to dive into that a bit, reporting complexity, and manual document creation. All right. So I'm going to kind of turn it over to Judy now and let her talk you through what she's going to talk about today and then go from there.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rob. So today, as Rob mentioned, we are talking through a case study with the Edmonton Community Foundation. Obviously, they are a Canadian community foundation, and their authority, they're like the US's IRS, the Canadian authority, requires that they generate a numbered receipt for their donors. So much like in the US, there's a tax receipt issued, they're issuing a tax receipt as well, but it has to have a number on it. So during our implementation, we developed a process to create these receipt numbers. And so those are just custom objects with an auto numbering system on there. But we're using that functionality that we created there is then getting pulled in with into Apsona so that when we generate a document, we can actually tap into that receipt number and bring that receipt number along with it and merge it into their letters and receipt documents. So we are, so initially when we set them up, they were print only. So we were doing all of the receipts were just done in print. And then later we walked through their process and revamped it and made it a email and a print receipt or a print process. The majority of them are going out by email. They have a lot of email addresses now where they didn't at the beginning. And so the majority, like I said, are happening through email. And then what's left can be printed. Or there may be some of your donors that say, I never want an email. I always want a printed receipt. Or you just simply don't have their email address. And so you can mark those as always generate a print. So today we will walk through the end user, what an end user would be doing. Basically, they're clicking buttons and downloading documents, and then we'll flip up the hood and we'll dig in and I'll show you how I set it up.
Great. Next slide, Leah.
Okay, so we are going to talk through how we automated those email batches. We are going to talk about the gift receipt and being able to have that personal touch. We can merge in names, address an email to a person. And then the Community Foundation had a requirement that said, you know, we're really not comfortable sending an email out with a gift receipt and a thank you letter attached if somebody hasn't looked at that. And so we really want a review process. They had kind of a review process anyway. So how do we do that with an email process? So we set that up. And then the letter and the email, or I'm sorry, the letter and the receipt that are generated is a 2-page document, and that is saved on the opportunity record as a PDF. And so this process that we set up, there's always that record right there on the record. You're not having to dig through a shared drive or a folder somewhere and find these receipt letters or store them somewhere else. They're just stored right on the record. So that really makes for a streamlined process. It cuts down on a lot of time and makes it easy for your end users to process. Okay, next slide. All right, we will jump right into the demo. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so
Wait 1 second. We can't see it yet. Hold on 1 sec.
It should be coming.
Yep, now we see it.
Okay,
yep.
Perfect. All right. So I'm in Edmonton's sandbox here. And so what the first thing you're going to notice is I set up a separate app for this. Charlene is, she's the one that's primarily doing these gift receipts. And it's nice to have this different place. It only has what you need to run your receipt letters. And it's just a nice, clean way to do. So if that's not something you've ever done before, I highly recommend that. So you set up an app, you pull in your tabs, you give her or whoever is running the receipts a separate homepage that has all the buttons and the instructions and stuff. So that's the first thing you'll notice here. So I'm going to log in as Charlene, and I've got her in an incognito window here. All right, so the first thing she does is she knows that there are gift receipts. I'm going to click on opportunities and I will go to department review. And she knows that there are 4 records sitting in the system that are ready to be, they're ready to have the review record created and allow someone in their department to review the receipt. So she sees that. From this home page here, she clicks this button. This is the email receipts. Here's the tax or the printed receipts. And here's another process. So we're going to stick right over here on this left side. So I'm clicking this. This is a customizable pop-up message here. And I say proceed. So the system generates, and it's going to generate one merged Word document with the receipts and the thank you letters for those 4 records that I showed you. Okay, it typically only takes a minute at most. No emails are being sent. Again, this is their review process. And when she opens up this document, she reviews it, and then she posts it in a library right in Salesforce. Okay, then another team member who's responsible for reviewing those receipts then goes in to that opportunity object. They see the ones that are sitting in department review. They open up the file that Charlene provided, and they review the receipts. It's just another set of eyes on those gift receipts and thank you letters to make sure there are no errors, make sure things are looking good before they get sent off to the donor. So I'm going to download this document, and then I'm going to open it. All right, so everyone's seeing this document?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so this is the generated Word document. It is one document and it's split by page breaks. So every single thank you letter with a gift receipt is 2 pages together. And so I should have about 8 pages. And I have receipts for 4 different gifts and donors. So you'll notice I have a date, the person's name, an address, the dear person, the nice language in a typical gift thank you letter. And then you also notice that it has a logo, and this is their typical letterhead. That's all customizable. It also has a footer. And then you'll notice page 2 is the gift receipt or the tax receipt. And this has a different header. It has some official tax language here. And you'll notice that here is that numbered gift receipt. We have some dates that got merged in here. We have the name is repeated and the address, the amount of the gift, and the fund in which the gift was contributed to. Obviously, you can stick a signature in there. So this can be customized and branded to your needs. Then page 3 then is the next gift receipt, and it follows the same format. So we have a letter, and this particular gift is from a business, and so the language is a little bit different. It has a different receipt number. It still is indicating the dollar amount. And if I look at that receipt, I see much the same. Some dates, I see the receipt number, I see the address, the amount, and the fund. So I'll stop here and just make a note of why this is split out here like this. The Edmonton Community Foundation set up their Salesforce org so that you can have one opportunity, one payment record, and multiple GAU allocations. That means that if you get a $500 gift or $1,000 gift, you can split that between multiple funds. And that can be reflected in your gift receipt. I have one in here that has that. I'll show you. I believe it's this one. So notice that I have the person's name. I have a $1,500 gift, and this one has 2 funds listed. And this allows your org to have a great deal of flexibility. No matter how you set this up in your system, Apsona can pull this information into a merged document. These are referred to as subtables. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but just know that you can pull in child objects into your gift receipts. Okay. The last thing I wanted to point out here in this run of gift receipts is that this one is a gift that has an honorarium in there. Many times you have in honor of, or in memory of, or on behalf of gifts, and you can, if you have fields on your opportunity, you can pull that information into your gift receipt letter. Okay, so when Charlene has finished this process, like I mentioned, she posts it for someone to review, and then that person goes in and they take this department review and they move them all to a different status. Okay, so this is, excuse me, this is what the other team member is doing. And then Charlene knows that when they are no longer showing up in department review, but they've now moved to this department approved list view, she can go into Salesforce and she can process those email records.
So before you jump on, we do have a question. Yay.
Okay.
It says, does the solution also work for bulk email receipts, say annual tax receipts? Would we run into any API or email send limits when sending in bulk? So
yeah, I have not run into that. I don't know how many are sent on. So yes, it will work for annual receipts. You have to follow the same requirements that Salesforce sets forth for email. So if you're hitting the limits on Salesforce email, you're going to hit the limits. So what I would recommend then is I would split them apart, whether you split them by, you could split them by type of gift, you could split them by alphabetical by your accounts, just run them in separate batches. So it's possible, definitely. Other questions?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'll keep watching.
Okay. Okay, so now the gifts have been or the opportunities have been marked as department approved. And so the next step is to actually send those emails. So I'm going to send them. This is the sandbox. They're really not going to send. Oh, and it says that it was, of course, I get an error. I think the reason why is because I didn't refresh my page here. I'm pretty sure if I send them. No.
I think there's another question that's come
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, I was
let's
going to
make
wait 1 second until
sure
she broke. Charlene, that's okay. Thank
department
you.
approved. Make sure. Oh, they're not somewhere along the line. I missed my so the process needs to put in this date here. Not sure why that didn't work. Of course, in a live demo, it's not going to work.
Because you have to enter it and then, yeah, there you go.
Well, typically that is done
Automatically.
automatically. That's part of the process. I don't normally ever have to do that. So now if so it populates that date. And now it's working. Okay, I'm not sure why that happened.
Yeah.
The
We
danger
do
of live
have,
demos.
we do have a question for the review step. Are they only reviewing the PDF that will be attached to the email, or what does the email look like that is sent? Do you have a
Yeah,
sample
so
of
I'm
that?
going to show you that here.
Okay.
So I'm processing this so that you see how the whole process goes, but the emails don't tend to send very cleanly out of the sandbox. And so I did process one out of production so that you can see what it looks like. This is the email receipt that the donor will get. And it is, the first thing you set up is an email template. So this has a logo and it has a footer and basic language. And we usually with a receipt and a thank you process, this email should be very generic. We're not looking to merge all the details into that. We want to put that into your attachment. So this is then the attachment, and it is the PDF of the receipt, the letter, and the actual gift receipt. Okay. So that's what that looks like. Obviously, that's customizable. You set that up in either Email Classic in setup, or you can use the template builder and set that up right in Lightning. You can use either one. Okay, so let's go take a look at what those opportunities look like once the receipt record has been generated. Okay, so this is an opportunity that had a receipt generated. And we are going to go to files, and here is the gift receipt, the letter, and the receipt. Okay, and you'll also notice that when I ran the first process, I'm telling the system to populate this field. So when I run the second process, that date has to be populated. Okay, and then when I run the email and send the email out, then this date gets populated. Okay, on activity, I'm also creating a task, and if I look at that task, it says that an email has gone out. It basically, it gives me the email in this text here, and it relates it to the opportunity. So this whole process puts everything back on the record and keeps it there so that you never have to go hunting for your receipts anywhere. They're always right here on the record.
So we have a question. Did you
Okay.
mention why you send the PDF attachment instead of just putting all the receipt details in the email?
Probably the biggest reason is streamlining the process. I already had the templates created. I didn't have to create new ones. I didn't have to change the merging, nothing like that. I just used what we already had, and I left the template for the email very generic. And that allows for one template, again, for emails and not having multiple where you're trying to merge things in. And also the template builder, if you recall in the page 2, I can't really do 2 pages very easily. We want the thank you language and the receipt. And I don't believe I could get these child objects pulled into the email template. I don't think I could do that. So again, streamline, less to maintain for your system administrator or whoever gets the job of maintaining.
And then thank you, Mia, for jumping in there. I was actually just going to say that sometimes for the tax receipting, it's a better end user experience because they want to
Yep.
print it off and
Yes.
use it for their taxes. And then does the actual PDF gift receipt also go on the record? Yes, it did.
Yep. Yep.
And can you,
right here under
what if she
files.
needs to resend or recreate a gift receipt?
Good question. So let's say a week after you sent these out, the donor says, I deleted the email. I can't find it. Okay, you can actually come in here and send a new email. If you have email set up in your org, you can come in, send an email and attach it. You could go to your Outlook and grab, if you've got the connection between Outlook or Google, and you've got the connection with your org, you can go in and grab that file and send it out by email. You could download it and attach it manually if you needed to, but you can certainly get it out. If they wanted it printed because they lost it or it got lost in the mail, they never received it, you could download it, print it out, and send it in the mail. So it's there. You never have to process that record again. Okay, other questions?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
Wait. Oh, wait.
Okay.
So it said, so template 1 for the general email, then separate templates for the different gift types.
Yeah, that's a good segue into how we set this up. So on a opportunity record, we have a field that is the different receipt letter types. So I mentioned that they have a 2-page template, but they also have about 9 different types of letters. So page 1 is different. They have about 9 different ones. And they also have different language for non-tax deductible gifts. So a business or a certain type of fund isn't going to get the same kind of receipt based on just based on the tax laws. And so we set up this pick list field, and this is where whoever's entering the gift can decide, well, this is the receipt that they should get. Okay, this could be streamlined a little bit more. You could put some if-then language in your template. But it's working for them, and unless they are looking for a major revamp on their gift receipts, it works fine.
So another question was, what if I wanted to personalize one letter out? All these, could the letters be edited?
If you want to personalize it, and if you want to, so think about how you're doing that. If you're printing your letter and you want to handwrite something on there, you can do that. Okay. If you want that recorded in, save back to the record that way, you would have to scan it back in and save it to the record. The other option is if you want to put in a personal message, then you create a personal message field on your opportunity and you merge that in. And so if you're saying a personal message, then you type that message into this field and that gets merged into your letter. So that's an option. If it's blank, then you tell Apsona to just swallow up the space.
And then this is probably more a question for you, Charlene. It says, just curious, how long do you keep the letters saved in Salesforce? Do you delete them periodically to save on storage capacity?
I haven't had to do that yet. I do like to keep everything saved in there just for audit purposes. And I mean, one of the great things about using Salesforce and Apsona is that For our audits, we just keep everything stored in here. We give our auditor a login. They go in, pull everything they need. I did not have to do a single thing for our audit last year. No pulling of files, like no nothing. So far, the storage capacity has worked for us. And like I said, I just like to keep things in there just in case. So
Jeff, I'm just going to throw in, I have seen, and Judy, if you know one, I don't know one off the top of my head. There are tools that will allow you to set up like a sync, and you could remove stuff and go store it on like a Google Drive or a
mhm.
OneDrive, and you could alleviate the costly storage in Salesforce if you have lots of these
Mhm.
with an alternate tool, but not our tool. We don't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, and Judy, we're
Okay.
at 1:30, so how are we
Yep.
doing on demo time? Are we okay?
Yeah, yeah, I think, so my plan is to show you how I set this up. So that's what I want to focus on now. Obviously, we're not going to see everything here, but, all right. So the first thing you do is you start with a template. And so here is my word template, and this is one of those templates. So you're putting in merge fields, and like I mentioned, you can do some if-then language. So if this field has a certain value, then you pull in this language, and if it has something else, you pull in different language. That is possible. And then here's your page 2. So that's what you start with first, and then you load that into documents. So that is stored right in your Salesforce org. If you are a Google house and you use Google Drive, you can also store your file in Google Drive. Okay. And then you come into opportunities and you create what's called a report. All right. This is different than a Salesforce report. And I will just briefly show you, I'm on the opportunity, and this is the opportunity object, and then the fields for the opportunity are all listed here. Anything that's a child or parent of the opportunity, you can grab those fields. I dump the fields that I want to use on the canvas, and then I create a filter. So this filter is a very tight filter. And it's tight because I want only specific records that have certain values. I only want the ones that are department review. Your org would have its own set of parameters. Notice on here, I've got the force print is no. So if somebody wants a printed receipt, they're not going to show up on this list. Okay. And then from there, I click run, and I need to go change these back to, oops, sorry, department review. Otherwise, they're not going to show up in my report. Stay safe. All right. Run. And I did not change the state. All right. Now they'll show up in my report. Okay, so here's my 4 records. So you create the report that pulls in the records that you want to generate a receipt for. And when you have the email document merge tool from Apsona, then you see this button and you can click on this. And now this is the merge process. This is where you tell Apsona what you want to do. You have the records. We pull in that template. When you're doing the actual email process, you pull in the email template and you map your fields here. So that's what you do in this whole screen here. I will show you just briefly. So you set it up here. You pull in your template, which is here. All of the templates in this org come up here. So you pick your template. You say how you want the output. This is the review process. So it's a single document, that's Word. You can also set conditional statements, and that's where I'm using the receipt letter type, that field on the opportunity that says, here's the receipt letter you need to pull in. So I'm setting some conditional statements there. And then you map your fields. And so every single template that's connected to this process, the field is going to show up here and you map it. You map the merged field in the template with the field in your Apsona report. So you bring them together, you tell it what to do. And then on the next page here is where you name your process so you can find it again later. And this is where I said, oh, record the time or the date on the record. This was that email review process. Okay, so that's how I did that one. When it comes to the email process, I did create a separate report because it had some different parameters. And no, they're not going to show up here. I don't think. Nope, they're not going to show up. I'm going to flip them back. This is always fun in a live demo. Here.
It never goes right when you hope it would, right?
29. All right, back and forth. All right, so these records that I'm manipulating them so they'll show in my report. Go away there. All right, so now they should show up here. All right, they show up here now. And then again, I hit the merge. And this time I'm setting up a different merge action. And this one has the email template connected down here. So here's where I connect the email template. I tell it what field in my report to use as the email field. This one is coming from a specific person, but you can certainly send this from like a donor services or a generic email address. You can certainly do that. Lots of orgs do that. Again, you map. This is the only field that's merged in the email template. The rest of the fields are showing up here now. These are the fields that are in the documents that are attached. And then when I get to this last screen, then my logging options change a little bit. So I'm recording that I'm running the receipt on a certain date, but this is where I save it to the opportunity and I say I want it to be as a file. And then for the email, when it actually sends, then I'm creating a task and recording that email there. So what that does is it gives you all of the information that you need to be able to understand that this person's gift receipt was sent to them, or you printed it and it was mailed. You've got the email attached, so everything's there. Other questions?
Not right now. It looks like people were asking about recordings and resources. We did have one question and I guessed at what I thought the problem might be. Have you ever had it where the length of the PDF template went from, instead of being a one pager, it went to 2, and how did you adjust it? I suggested that it might be because of the length of the variable data or the size of their font.
Yeah, that's something that's typically resolved during testing, you know, and in the setup. I typically will ask for, you know, give us your basic letter. And if I'm spilling into the next page every single time, then, you know, we either make the margin smaller, make the font smaller, or, you know, the other option is to reword your letter, tighten it up a little bit. So.
And keep in mind, if you do Judy's really elegant workaround with that personal note, that will impact the length of how your template comes out.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. The other things I wanted to show you then would be, well, you mentioned print receipts. So print receipts function much the same way. You create a process to review them. So you're generating a document. It's going to be one document you download. You can read through the receipts that are generated, make edits. You can print it as, you know, process it and print it as many times as needed. And then at the end, then I usually have folks run another button that will save the record to the opportunity. So it's very, very similar process. You can also do mailing labels. There is an option to set up mailing labels if your org does that. Other things that can be done to, when I worked at my foundation, I was trying to take all the manual work out of everything. And I tried really hard to do that. I didn't want people to have to address, type out manually, do anything. This should be an automated process. And so the philanthropy director didn't want to use like a window envelope, because that's also an option. So you can do envelopes, so you can print the envelopes right in an envelope printer. Or if you do want to use window envelopes, you can adjust the name and address so it fits. Or you can, if you have a printer that will flip your page and print on the back side, you can even position it so that when you fold it and stuff it in the envelope, the address comes through and it's been printed on the back. So there's lots of ways to do that. So that's the print process, very much the same. We also do an annual receipt. So sometimes you have donors who give on a monthly basis or maybe a quarterly, or frequently enough where they say, I don't want a receipt every time. Just send me something in January or February so I can do my taxes. And so we also set up a process to do that. And that's based on the account. And so we have a flow that will run through and create the receipts for anything that's labeled annual. So you label it on the opportunity, you run the flow, and then you pull that into an Apsona process and a merge document, and you merge it all together, and then you have annual tax receipts. So
Awesome.
it's a pretty cool tool.
Do you want to go to the slide that kind of lists the key outcomes just so you can sum it up?
Yeah.
Aaliyah, can you pull that up for her? Oop, there we go.
Yeah, so key outcomes, obviously a reduction in time spent on administrative tasks. We tried to pull everything that was manual, that didn't need to be manual, out of the process. We were able to customize it with using the Apsona tools so that it met their needs. They had their list of requirements, and we were able to meet those using the Apsona tool. Also gives you more, sometimes gift receipts, while the person that's doing them knows they're important, sometimes, getting them out the door on a regular basis is tough to do. And so when you have a nice, clean process, it's, that it's going to take you a half hour or 20 minutes or 10, maybe not even. And so it's really easy to be consistent and to generate those gift receipts in a timely manner. I think Charlene is doing them once a week. You could do them daily during your really busy season, or a couple of times a week. You could, whatever you want to do, you can do them. So your process isn't just pigeonholed into a tool that only works one way. You can develop your own process and run it as your org needs. And then, like I said, the reducing all the manual work in there.
And could you do me a favor? So we're going to have Judy share her screen, Aaliyah, for 1 second. And can you go back to the merge action, Judy? Because Paula is asking about, can you use if then else statements or, and so I just thought we could stop for a moment and rest on the setup of the merge action and kind of walk through that.
Sure. So I'm not using the if then in the merge action. I do that in the template. So let's see, that's not my template.
You have a couple of options is what she's saying, Paula. You can either do it in the template or you can do it in your merge action. So we'll show you both and you can decide what works best for you.
So here, there is a merge action or an if then here. I have another client that has some really complex templates, and you can do a lot with this. If a field is, so in this case, it says if the account is an organization, then give me the primary contact's informal salutation. Otherwise, give me informal salutation from a contact. So this is in the address block. So what this does is it prevents you from having two separate templates, one for individuals at a household and one for businesses. So it's put into one. So that's one example. Another one would be, let's say you have two gift letters that are very similar in their language, but maybe there's one or two sentences that are different. You can actually put, if you can develop a rule around it, you can do if this field equals this, then give me this language. And if it's this, then give me the other language.
And then could you go to the merge action and just,
Yes.
yeah, thank you.
And then in the merge action, let's see if they're in here. No, they're not. We'll go to the email. All right, merge action.
And then go to the second screen. Yeah. You know where I'm going.
Yeah.
So she's actually done it here. So do you see where it says to the receipt letter type? This is if you want different templates, you could easily do it, but it has to be based on one field.
Yep. Yep. So in this case, we're using receipt letter type, but maybe it's a different field.
I've seen it where it's like if the donor is, over $500, it's this letter. If it's under 500, it's this letter, however you decide to do it.
Yep. You can set it up on whatever field you choose, and then you say, but like Rob said, it's one field. So.
And then Fran asked, is the app that was used available, or is it best to create one from scratch?
So did you mean this
Yeah,
app?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Fran.
so this is just something I did for it. It's not required, and it's not an Apsona thing. I just made a nice clean space for Charlene to do gift receipts. So I literally created an app, put in some objects, and then created a new home page. One thing I didn't show you is that at the end of this merge action, you can generate a code, and that's what you put behind here. So when you click on edit page, you pull in a Apsona button, and you can name it, and you can put in your custom text, and then you paste that code in there. That's how the button knows what you want to do, is you've pasted that code, and that's coming from that merge action.
Fran, did that answer your question? You can, I gave you the ability to talk. Yes, no? Maybe not?
Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. I wasn't sure if that was an app that was available like to everyone, like by just going into the app. I'm sorry, tongue-tied this morning, this afternoon. See?
Yeah.
Or if it was something that we needed to create for our own organization.
Yeah, it's the one I created.
Okay.
It depends on your use case. You can also, let's say you didn't want a batch process and you wanted to be able to just click on a button right here on the opportunity and generate that. You could do that as well. To me, it's just more efficient to do a batch process because that's a lot of individual clicking.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll add too. It's nice. So I have people who say do like vacation coverage, or if there's other stuff you want to train in the future, it's nice to just have that process laid out, and it's very straightforward for them to follow. So
I was actually going to bring you into that, Charlene. So thanks. Paul is asking to utilize the daily and the annual receipts. to minimize the number of templates. Oh, I think we answered that question. Mia's asking, can you confirm that in your process, the team member just has the task for themselves to check if the receipts need to be sent? I know this is outside of Apsona, but do you have any solutions for automating notifications for someone to complete this process?
So the task that's created is just saying this was done. And so it is marked complete. I think this is what she's asking. So the task down here in activity is marked complete. And I didn't, it's assigned, it just auto assigns to whoever runs this. So these would be assigned to Charlene. If you needed to generate a task for something else.
Well, I unmuted her. So Mia, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess maybe I just missed the first part at the beginning, but so when does the task for Charlene originally get created?
So she doesn't, she gets so Charlene just goes in to do the receipts when she.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was my question, I guess, was like,
Yeah.
she knows she has her own kind of schedule where she's doing
Yeah.
it, I
Yeah,
guess.
typically she goes by a list view. So when the list view says, okay, the person that reviewed the receipts has now changed these to department approved, she knows that she can run those gift receipts.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
the task that gets created is just saying it was done.
Yeah, and maybe I'll just kind of expand on how we do it a little bit. So before, like, we have other stages to this process, like previous to when I start creating receipts. So we have another stage called pending, and that's where all of our donations go before I do batches of receipts. So what I would do basically is just go into pending. I take those gifts, move them to the next stage, and that's where they're kind of in working stage, and that's where I create the receipts and then move them on once I'm finished, if that helps to give any context.
Yeah, and again, it's your process. Your process gets set up in Salesforce, and then we can come in with Apsona and use your process and customize your receipts based on your process. So you're not having to adopt a process that's not yours.
Okay.
Other questions?
Yeah. Did you want to, did we finish your summary? I didn't mean to make you jump back in, but I thought it was easier to do it with a picture.
Mhm.
Aaliyah, can you share the slide again just to make sure we hit everything?
Yes, working on it. Sorry.
That's okay. I know we've been jumping around like crazy people. Thank you. All right. So did we hit them all, Judy? I just want to make sure we
So,
didn't miss them.
yeah, I think so. I think you can move on to the next other.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Charlene, I'm just curious if you could summarize for this team that's been watching this, how do you feel like this has improved your processes? Like I know you sort of alluded to it earlier. What's been the good, the bad, the ugly?
Well, the improvement has been significant. So as Judy was saying, we were doing print receipts, and I mean, especially having gone through a pandemic, as you can imagine, that would have been a difficult process. So yeah, so since the migration, I've significantly cut the administrative time on receipting by probably days. We're heading into our busy season, but typically I'm processing receipts on Monday and they're out by Friday. As she also mentioned, the majority of our donors prefer email receipts now. I maybe print 5 to 10 receipts per month. So it's significant. So yeah, so the turnaround time has increased significantly. You're not depending on postal services to deliver something to donors. It's incredibly significant. And just like kind of to put it into a number perspective again, so last year I processed over $48 million in donations, and yes, so using Salesforce and Apsona has significantly improved my role, and we're able to focus more on that donor experience and other tasks that we have, because of course all of us have other things to do. So
Yeah.
I mean, this cuts it up significantly, so we can focus on other ways of serving our donors as well.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. I don't see any final questions. Judy, did you want to offer a parting thought?
A parting thought. Apsona is one of my favorite tools. The document merge, it makes Salesforce sing. Salesforce is a great tool, but Apsona comes in and gives you this way to generate documents, manage your data, manipulate your data if you need to, and send out an email. It's just a great tool.
All right. And I don't want to pronounce this name right. Is it Mushki? I'm unmuting you because I don't understand your question. I'm sorry.
Yes, I wanted to know if this is a custom package or is this included in the general Apsona package?
No, so our licensing model is there's a base license called Apsona for Salesforce, and all the things that you need for what Judy did today, you would need Apsona for Salesforce, document and email merge, the Lightning Web component, I believe, Judy, yeah?
Yeah, and that
And,
just comes from your website.
and then the multi-step reporting.
Nope, I'm not using
Oh,
multi-step.
you
on
didn't
this.
use multi-step. Sorry
No,
about that.
Not on this one. No, I do have a process in this org using multi-step, but this one did
Yeah.
not require it.
Where would I be able to find out what is required for this?
Are you a consultant? Are you a nonprofit? Help me
Yeah, we're
understand.
not sure. Yes,
Okay.
we're a nonprofit. We use Salesforce and we have Apsona already, but wanted to learn how to maximize Apsona.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm happy to follow up with you. Could you drop demos might be helpful as well, but happy to meet with you. If you could drop your email in the chat so Aaliyah can grab it, that would be great.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We really appreciate you all coming. And again, my humble thank you to both foundation partners and Edmonton. I appreciate both of you and letting us tell your story. And this will be coming out in a follow-up video email that Aaliyah will be sending out to you in a little while. So thank you very much and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.